Hello and welcome to my review of the Troggoth Hag for Gloomspite Gitz from Forge World. Now this model will set you back £67, but my word, what a beautiful lady this hag really is. She is gorgeous. I mean, I'm not even sure whether she's allowed to be on YouTube. She's so drop dead gorgeous. I've had a lot of fun with her in the live streams, building her and showing her off to the rest of the trolls. I'll do some size comparisons with, well, all the trolls in a moment. But yeah, that's the reverse. I mean, wow. She has got more rolls than a Greg's, and she's got a big, heavy sack right here, full of all of her conquests. Maybe it's her emotional baggage from past relationships, who knows, but there are skeletons in there, there are fish, there are hands, there are even bones. I mean, she is just packing it in terms of taking her stuff around with her. She's got this amazing staff type tree. It's more of a tree, isn't it? Let's face it. But yeah, there's detail everywhere. Apart from the obvious detail that you can see there, you've got these awesome ears. She's very much of the fell water kind of tribe. She's got fish skeletons from her hair. She's got little spiky teeth, got one eye much bigger than the other, a droopy nose, like a bulbous nose that goes lower than a bottom lip. Imagine, guys, if you had a nose that big. She's also not wearing anything, which I fully respect. Let it all hang out. And yeah, this tree as well, this staff, it's amazing. It's even got like a skull at the top, skulls that's been penetrated. You've got mushrooms and all kinds of things on it. And in here, I think you've got a little snotling in there, just poking out with his hands up. Maybe he's part of this shambling tribe. The Scenic Base is lovely. Although it's on the like rectangular size base, it does come with this oval base. She does come with this oval base, and again, there's some more skulls and some rocks and all kinds of things. If you've seen the green stuff all about, it's just where the pieces haven't quite lined up. It's a little bit to do with the cast, and also it's a bit of me as well. But yeah, oh, fantastic model. Really chuffed with this. So without further ado, I know you're all dying to see how big she is compared to other models of her brethren. So we'll kick it off with a Fellwater Troggoth. Look how small he is. He's absolutely tiny compared to Troggoth Hag. She could eat him for breakfast, literally. Just looks like a little baby one next to the majesty of the Hag. I mean, look at the size of her compared to him. He's barely up to her belly button. Then let's go one step higher with a Rockgut Troggoth, which is almost twice as the height of a Fellwater. Now we're getting somewhere. So the Rockgut is kind of almost eye level with her, but she is hunched back. But she is hunched back there, and the Rockgut Troggoth is standing nice and tall and proud to get her attention. Look at me, I've got this massive rock here, and I'm about to hurl it at some enemies, but still pretty small next to her. Then let's go for the Dankhold Troggoth. Right here, he is a whopper, and still the size of her is very impressive. I mean, he is a little bit taller than her eye level, but again, she is really hunched over, and definitely got a lot more bulk than this Troggoth. The final little comparison I like to make, or a couple of them really, which aren't anything to do with the trolls, is just with another miniature from Forge World that costs the same amount, £67, the Colossal Squig. Admittedly, this Colossal Squig is a little bit taller than her. he is a weapon. He's proper heavy and very mean looking, but I wanted to give you that comparison there between both the models. If you were thinking of picking up one or the other, which one to pick up first, you'd be sport for choice, whichever one. I think the Troggoth Hag has more detail on her, well, it's more impressive in my opinion, and will test your modelling skills a bit more than the Colossal Squig, which only consists of 4 parts anyway. Yeah, if you've got trolls at all, definitely go for the Hag. If you've got some squigs and the Mangler squigs, go for the Colossal Squig. But you can't go wrong adding either of them to your Gloomspite Gitz army. Final little comparison I want to make is just with an Arachnarod, not with an Arachnarok. Now this is a big model anyway, but look at the size of her compared to this big spider. She could bop that spider over the head, and that would be an interesting little tussle that they'd have, wouldn't it? Maybe the Arachnarok eats these Fellwater Troggoths. I'm not sure. Yeah, I just wanted to give you that size comparison, because this is probably one of the biggest Gloomspite Gitz models, you know, with the exception of the Loon Shrine, of course. And then the final size comparison I'd like to make, and just to give you an impression of how big she is next to one of the Loon bosses, and he's standing on a mushroom no less, he barely comes up to, well, her face. I'm not sure how they're going to communicate and things, but there we go. That's the size of her. And then the little 40k size comparison, we've got Slimarbo, got a Space Marine, we've got a Primaris. And it just gives you an idea of how big she is next to a Primaris. He doesn't even touch the bottom of her lip there, and we don't know how tall Primarises are. So yeah, big model. I think the price is reasonable for the size of the model and the stunning amount of detail that you get. I mean, we've already zoomed in at the detail of her scales on her skin. Just far surpasses anything that, you know, plastic can produce. As much as I mean, these Fellwater Troggoths are probably not the best to compare in terms of detail, because they are quite an old kit now. However, comparing them with the Rock Gut, I do like the rocks and the stones on the Rock Gut Troggoths, and they are the newest Gloomspite Gitz models. But this model just trumps them all. I'd even go as far as to say that this Hag probably has the most amount of detail than any of the other Gloomspite Gitz sort of destruction armies that you can find out there. So yeah, if you're into your detail and you want a hugely detailed miniature, this is the one to go for. So the last thing I can do for you today in this review is go through all of her rules. Now, you don't have to look very far. If you find her on the 412 web store, under downloads, you will see that her war scroll is there and it is available. And I've always been of the opinion that the rules and war scrolls and data sheets and things like that should always be there free next to the products and models, because over the years I've come to find out that rules very often sell the models. Now, she's one of these units whereby the number of wounds that are suffered does affect her efficiency in battle. Her movement speed starts off at 8 inches, her save is 4+, her bravery is 7, and she has a whopping 16 wounds. She's a single model armed with copious vomit, a deadwood staff, and crushing bulk. Of course she is. The copious vomit then, it's a ranged weapon of 10 inches. When she has 0 to 4 wounds suffered, you're getting 6 attacks with that weapon. It's 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -2 to rend, and a damage of D3. It's pretty nice for puke. Melee weapons, she has the deadwood staff, which is a range 2-inch, 4 attacks, 4+ to hit, and when she's got 0 to 4 wounds, you got a 2+ to wound and a -1 to rend and a 3 damage. That's pretty decent. And then crushing bulk, it's a 1-inch ranged, D3 attacks, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound. It doesn't have a rend, but it does have a damage of D6. Now back onto these wounds then. So I've already mentioned what happens with the 0 to 4 wounds. It's a movement of 8 inches, copious vomit is 6, and deadwood staff is 2+. Between 5 and 8 wounds, movement speed is 7 inches, copious vomit drops to 5, and the deadwood staff goes to 3+. Between 9 and 11 wounds, movement speed is 6 inches, the vomit is 4, and the staff is 3+. 12 to 13 wounds, movement is 5 inches, the vomit is 3, and the deadwood staff is 4+. When she suffers 14 or more wounds, so that's 14 to 16, her movement speed drops all the way down to 4 inches, her vomit only does 2 attacks, and the deadwood staff wounds on a 5+. Abilities, oh wow. Hag Regeneration. In your hero phase, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to this model. That's fantastic. I mean, imagine if she takes 6 wounds. If your opponent fights hard to knock 6 wounds off her, and then she gets a 6. All that hard work that they could have been putting wounds on other units has just been taken away. Spell Spite. Each time this model successfully unbinds a spell, you can roll a dice. On a 4+, the wizard that casts that spell suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's fantastic. So 50-50 chance there that the wizard that casts a spell on you can suffer, well, probability-wise, 2 or more wounds. Terrible Stench. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target this model. That bumps up her survivability. And then Magic. This model is a wizard. It can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. It knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield and Hag Curse spells. We all know what Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield do nowadays, but let's have a little gander at her specific spell, the Hag Curse. It's a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit, and subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target that unit. Although it's only 12 inches, that unit's having to take 1 from hit rolls and 1 from save rolls. So you want to get her at least within 12 inches of enemies. Of course, we know that 10 inches is the sweet spot, specifically when I'm talking about the copious vomits to 10-inch range. Her keywords: Destruction, Gloomspite Gitz Troggoth, Fellwater, Monster, Hero, Wizard, Troggoth Hag. So there you go. That's my review of the Troggoth Hag. I think she's reasonably priced for the size and the amount of detail that you get with the model, and the rules are rock solid too. If you've got trolls for your Gloomspite Gitz army, or if you're even thinking about a Troggoth army, of which you can make one with the Dankhold Troggoth and the Fellwater, have her included, and just run an army of trolls, which isn't going to be many models in the grand scheme of things, then she is an auto-occlude. She's fantastic, and she looks the part too. But what do you guys think of this beautiful lady? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. Post your comment with an air of caution, as she is liable to blush profusely before she throws up all over you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Ice Troll protects.